It's Tryston Lawrence here, man. I'm glad the guys have brought me on. I'm a former pro basketball player, turned professional player development coach, and I've been fortunate enough to be an assistant coach in the G League. I've worked with the Suns organization, I worked with the Hornets organization, and I've been a head coach in Taiwan. So definitely been around the world, being able to be blessed to either play the game or coach the game. So just happy to be on with you guys, man.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on. So my first question for you is, so the NBA's got a lot of hype around it, obviously. And I think overseas basketball is really misunderstood. In your opinion, which one was more enjoyable for you?
Oh man, for me, a lot of people probably get on me for this answer, but the true answer is European and Asian basketball, for multiple reasons. To be honest, probably one of the main reasons would be their passion. As far as the players, coaches, fans, everybody is so much more passionate than we are over here in America, and that's pretty much in every country that really loves basketball. They just, if you think like Cameron Crazies or any major college program that has an amazing fan base, you have to multiply that by like 20 if you want to really get the feel of what a high level European organization fan base is like, or even some teams in like the CBA in China. Like they really love basketball to their core. And over here, I mean, you watch NBA games, I mean, it could be halftime and you might have half the stands full. I mean, unfortunately, last year with the Suns, there were many games where our arena was less than half full. And you're talking about, even though we wasn't playing that well, you're still talking about some of the best 300 to 500 players that play the game in the world. And the fan base just doesn't love the game for the purity. It could be teams in Europe who are struggling, but if their team has a game that night, people in that city are coming out supporting crazy. So for me, it's Europe because of the fan base and the passion, and it's also because of the skill set and how they play the game.
It's different.
They play the smart with they use IQ. And over here, our game in the NBA as well as the G League is a whole lot more athlete-based. So if you can run and jump and you can show some skills, then you can have success over here. In Europe, you really have to know how to play the game the right way.
Yep, agreed. Actually, it's funny you say that. My first possession in Taiwan, if you remember, I got on the court, and first possession of the game, I got beat off a misdirection backdoor. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm smarter than this. So it's definitely a different style of basketball. Definitely a different style.
It is, man. It's just because in Europe and Asia, they don't – I will say that in America, I don't know if the word is breed, but in some form in their genealogy, like they have amazing athletes. Like guys grow to be 6'8", 6'10", 7 foot all over the world. But to be able to put that size together with mobility and things like that, we do it in America vastly superior than other countries.
Right.
But when it comes to knowing how to play the game the right way, like back cuts and mismatches and swinging the ball to get open shots, we really in America tend to play for the show of it, one-on-one.
Yeah.
And Europe and Asia, they play to get the job done. So if you're the best player on that team and you didn't lead them in scoring that night, but we got the W, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick on the same subject, actually, and ask you if there's any certain players that come to your mind when you talk about this overseas European Asian style of basketball that are in the NBA today. If you have anyone in mind.
Today. Obviously Luka. Luka would be one who would come to mind obviously first because he's burst on the scene his first 2 years really crazy. Right. But the thing that you can see with him is he's not the most athletic guy in the world. and he's not the fastest guy in the world. But his mind for the game allows him to play at an all-star level, because he thinks the game at 19 years old at a higher level than probably 90% of the players in the NBA. So even though he may be limited compared to them athletically, he's vastly superior when it comes to his mind and his skill set. So he's able to still be an all-star level, potentially NBA level basketball player. I mean, MVP level basketball player. But Luka, I would say Rudy Gobert, because he's a big who sticks to who he is. A lot of bigs now, as you guys know, I mean, you watch the game and study the game. Everybody wants to shoot the three.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody wants to act like they're point guards and things like that. Rudy is comfortable in his own skin. He wants to run the floor, set screens, roll to the basket, rebound, be a rim protector. You don't get anybody above 6'9" in America feeling like that should be their role anymore. They feel like they should be wings.
Yeah.
Some of them are blessed to be your Kevin Durant's, your Brandon Ingram's, your people like that. But they're a really special few. Everybody else needs to devote themselves to being the best big man they can be, and a lot of them don't want to.
That's true. It's very true. So now this question that I'm gonna ask kind of revolves around social media. So okay. Social media, Instagram, portrays an athlete, a pro athlete's life as some glamorous and life with no issues whatsoever. And they don't really see what an athlete goes through and how stressed they are at times. What's the biggest challenge that you faced in your pro career?
Biggest challenge that I personally faced when I was playing?
Yep.
Probably for me, man, to be honest, was money management. And the majority of my career was spent in Europe. And so I wasn't making the level of money that NBA guys make, but you're still making a pretty good living.
Right.
But when you get home, and even when you're in Europe, but definitely when you get home in the summertime, you feel like you want to flaunt. You feel like you want to buy things that you don't necessarily need to buy.
Right.
Doing things like that. And that is commonplace for athletes. And so you end up wasting money frivolously that when you're done playing, you're going to need. When you decide to have a family, you're going to need. And so many young athletes and even some veteran athletes don't understand what that really means to manage their money. And when I played, I was one of the ones who, unfortunately, until I got towards the time where I stopped playing, that I didn't understand what it meant to pocket my money and manage it the right way. So that was probably the thing that I wish I could have got back and did over the most.
Okay. Yeah,
and
that's definitely a tough one.
Yeah, I know I'm not alone in that. A lot of guys probably won't admit it, but I've seen some things in the NBA as well as in Europe where guys are making crazy, insane amounts of money, and you get paid every 2 weeks in the league. And when that second week is coming, they can't wait for their check because they're acting as if they're broke. And it's like, bro, if you're broke or even close to broke with the level of money you make and you got paid 2 weeks ago, that's insane.
Yeah. And you hear about it all the time, pro athletes going bankrupt. And yeah, that's a very important factor. I mean, you got to get somebody to help you manage your money, or you just got to be disciplined. I mean,
100%.
while you're out there though, it's not as bad as summertime, right? When you get here during the summer and you're out and you got nothing to do.
Summertime's the worst, man.
Yeah.
Summertime's the worst. It's hot. I mean, you have been playing a whole season, so you kind of do want to kick back and relax. Where, especially when you're a player, like where your friends are gonna be, where the ladies are gonna be.
Right.
And at the end of the day, like, you've made whatever amount of money you've made, and you want to treat yourself to a level, But because, like you said, social media plays a humongous part in it. Like, you just see what the next man or the next woman is doing.
Yeah.
And too many times you're like, oh, they got that Gucci book bag. I got to get that Gucci book bag. And somebody who made $50 million that year might be able to get that Gucci book bag. But if you made $50,000, you might not need to get it.
Right.
Now, $50,000 in a season is a quality season, especially if you're playing in Europe and it's tax-free. Like, you're bringing home a lot of money.
Right.
That still don't mean you should necessarily spend $3,000 on a Gucci bag. But players do it. Yeah. Like, I'll give you an experience. I won't say any names because you never know what people find. Right. And he's a friend of mine still. So he's going to know I'm talking about him, but everybody else won't. He was a teammate of mine when I was in Germany. And his contract that year was $70,000, which is great money when you're talking about tax-free. When you're in Europe, you don't have to pay for your home, food a lot of the time, car. So you're bringing a whole lot of that $70K back to America. And as soon as he got home, when our season was over, it was right around the time like the new Challengers, like the new body kit for the Challengers that came out. And he went to the dealership and bought a Challenger brand new cash for $60,000.
Wow.
Now he made $70,000 the entire season, and he spent $60,000 of it on a brand new car. Now the minute he drove that car off the lot, it now was not worth $60,000 anymore. Yeah. So that's the type of thing players do that hopefully you can try to avoid. Hopefully.
Right. Al.
I'm gonna go ahead and ask you this one as a coach and looking back. What would you say is a better path for the NBA as far as either college or Europe, overseas? Considering the player stays constant, he's the same exact player, could go at the highest level D1, like the Dukes, Kentuckys, or would you recommend more overseas and then to the NBA?
I think it would be on a case-by-case basis, honestly. I don't know if it should be like a one-size-fits-all type thing.
Okay.
For me personally, like if it was my son, with the experiences that I've been able to have across the world and stuff like that, I would probably encourage him to go play professional ball if he had an opportunity before he tried to go to the league. For the simple fact that your education will always be there. My mother's a doctor, and she ended up getting her doctorate when she was like 43.
Wow.
So education will always be there if you're committed to wanting to do that. But the opportunity to be a professional athlete is a short window of your life. So if you have an opportunity to be a professional at any level, one, commit yourself to it so you'll be ready to do it. But you never miss out on an opportunity. Like, I don't care who you are. I don't care what level you're on. If you've got an opportunity to be a pro, you need to take it, because the experience of it more than anything else will prepare you for your next step, hopefully as a pro. So for me, I would encourage guys, if you have the opportunity and if you have the right mindset, to go overseas, because you're going to play against grown men. You're going to play pro style, like sets and defenses. You're going to see things that you just won't see in college.
You got better prepared.
Yeah, I coached college for a year. As a coaching staff in college, our job is to win the next game. It's ultimately not to prepare you for the NBA or overseas, because my job, I keep my job if we win college games.
Right.
I don't keep my job if you go to the NBA. I actually, in fact, might lose it. So don't ever mistake college coaches saying, "Oh, I want you to come here," as they really have your best interest at heart. Because at the end of the day, they got to win. They got to keep their job.
Yeah. So one of my friends, Mike, shout out Mike. He has a question for you. So he coaches with me.
Okay.
And so we have a certain style of coaching, and I wanted to get your opinion. What style of coaching have you always favored playing under? Like, you've had a lot of coaches in your career. You've had the guys that yell and scream, and then you've had the player coaches that pull you aside, take you under their arm. What style of coaching have you favored to play for?
To play for, man, that's a good question. For me, I like the Bobby Knights, man.
Oh, you do?
I like the guy. Yeah, I do. I like the guys who really get up in you, man. Because I was a player who felt like I knew a lot. Mm-hmm. Like I had a good basketball IQ, and I felt like I knew the game. So a coach that would challenge me and put me in my place and almost like dare me that I couldn't do what he was asking to do type thing, like that would motivate me. If it was a coach who wasn't really a strong voice, it's not that, because there's a lot of coaches who aren't yellers and screamers who can get their point across, like a Greg Popovich or somebody like that, because they're much more player coaches, so to speak. I don't really know about that term, a player's coach, right, because I know players coaches get in your tail. But because you have the respect for them as a coach, they're still considered a player coach. So for me, I just like the guy who would challenge me. And I never minded somebody getting in my face or getting upset at me because they felt like I wasn't playing to my potential.
You know, not a lot of athletes like that these days. A lot of athletes do not like that. They go away from those coaches.
What I'll say, bro, is this generation of kids doesn't want anything to do with that. I would probably say your generation, definitely my generation, growing up in the being born in the late 80s and then growing up in the 90s, like I feel like my generation embraced that because being coached hard was still like the trend.
Yeah.
And now it's become way more like players and LeBron, Chris Paul, a lot of guys have everything to do with that. Players are so much more empowered than they ever were before in my times of watching basketball as being a fan. So if you say the wrong thing to the right player, you could lose your job.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's just a different time period for me. Like the same way the game evolved, how you coach players has had to evolve as far as how you talk to them. Fortunately for me, I think what helps me is that I am a younger guy who has played. So I kind of am able to earn the respect of whoever I'm talking to or whoever I'm trying to coach, right, because they feel like I'm knowledgeable as a former player who isn't too far removed from playing. So in the times where I really, really got to get on them, they know it's coming from I've been there.
Right.
And not necessarily coming from I'm trying to berate you in front of everybody.
Yep. Al?
I was going to ask a question, but you kind of touched on it, is what do you see that has changed since, say, the time you were playing till now, as far as like the game style, game pace?
Social media, man. I'm only 31, but I'm gonna still tell my age a little bit as far as the social media world is. The first Ball is Life clip that was ever created was created in North Carolina, and I was actually in the gym when it was made. So that and I was in high school. So social media, more than anything, to me, has changed the game of basketball and sports in general. You can get a scholarship off of being a social media star. That's really the bottom line. It's like if I can cross a guy up a few times, or I'm really athletic, and I find a way, or my parents or my coach finds a way to market that, and I got 100,000 followers, and I got 50,000 people viewing every one of my videos on YouTube. You got coaches who are like, he's got to be good. He might not be, but because he now has a following, we got to give him a scholarship because it's fan bases and it's putting butts in the seat and it's things like that. To where when I was playing, like, you wasn't really worried about getting on YouTube. Like when you created highlight tape, that was like VCR and DVD, and you was creating it for yourself type thing. But
that's changed.
But now it's like, man, I'm not a trainer or a developer who I really don't like cameras all over the court while I'm working out. That's just it's uncomfortable with me. But I have some players who have came to me in workouts who they don't even want to start the workout if they cameraman not there yet.
Wow. It's all about
and to me, that's insane. That's insane. But that's the era we in, guys. like that's the era we in. So to me, that would probably be the biggest change from my time to now is social media has really, in a sense, watered down the game.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So right now, let's say you were, let's make you 21 again. Okay.
Oh,
and
man.
You're offered to play in any country, and it can be a country that you've already played in.
Okay.
Which country are you choosing to go to right now? Which one did you enjoy the most, or which one did you not have an opportunity to go to that you would love to go to play in?
Oh, man. Can I give you two?
You can give me two.
All right, cool. I'm going to give you one in Asia and one in Europe. In Europe, I would have loved, never got a chance to, but I would have loved to play in Greece. One, it's a beautiful country. Mm-hmm. Two, to me, it is the most passionate fan base I've ever seen in basketball. I don't know if you've ever seen a Panathinaikos game. I don't know if you've ever seen a
YouTube actually
game, but you're talking about fans who actually light fires in the arena while the game's going on. Like, it's like you're talking about a fan base that when games are televised, the huge cameras that are doing the TV promotions and the TV viewing, they're shaking because the arena's moving.
Wow.
Like, that would have been something that I would have, as a player, I would have died to have a chance to just play in. And then secondly would be in Asia, in the Philippines. I got a chance to coach against a team in the Philippines when I was coaching in the ABL. Mm-hmm. And when I went over there, quick story, probably 30 seconds, man. So we went over there. We flew over there on a Thursday. And we had a walkthrough Friday morning for a game on Saturday. And at our walkthrough, which was at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and the game is still the next day, we had 5,000 people at our walkthrough, and people were like waiting outside trying to get in the gym.
Wow.
I'd never seen anything like wanting autographs.
People at a walkthrough?
At a walkthrough. And then for the game, like as we were coming out of that gym, you had some of the people like coming up to you like, is there any way we can get tickets? Like, is there any way you can get tickets for the game? So it was a couple of little kids who was like, they wasn't able to get tickets. The game is sold out. And I told them what time we were going to meet. We were going to be at the gym for the game the next day. And if they got there at the same time we did, then I would let them walk in with me. And fortunately, they were able to do that. So they was able to actually get in and watch the game. Game was sold out. You're talking about SWAT being in front of the arena because it was overpopulated. Like, it was too many people in there. An experience I never thought I'd be able to experience.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen videos and I've heard like it's crazy out there.
They just like, it's hard to explain, man. Like, I wish I could really put it in words, but their love for basketball, because obviously the country might not be as rich as America is and things like that. So they gravitate to things that they can dream about.
Right.
and want to do things that can get them out of their situation. And basketball is probably the big. I mean, Manny Pacquiao is horrible, but he loves hooping, and he owns 2 PBA teams in the Philippines. So it's just like their love for the sport of basketball is something that had I not actually been able to be in the Philippines and experience firsthand, I would have never imagined.
Al, you got anything?
No, you could go again.
Okay. So I have a sophomore. He's going to be a junior in high school that I coach.
Okay.
So he's asking how difficult is it for a good player to make the G League?
How difficult is it for a good player to make the G League?
So a good player meaning, let's say a player ends up going D2, putting up really good numbers. Mm-hmm. Truly, how difficult is it for that player to make it? Is it a stretch, or is there a possibility for that player to make it, or is it just out of reach for a lot of guys?
A possibility, yes. Is it extremely hard? I won't lie. Yes. Because unless you were a bona fide all-conference player at your D2, or if you were like National Player of the Year, All-American status at your D2, all the teams and the owners are going to look at you at like second or third tier. That's just what it's going to be. And so obviously, a lot of guys are on the roster even before the G League draft takes place. So like the G League draft may be on a Thursday. Well, by that Monday, the G League staff probably has already signed 6 players to a 10-man active roster.
So it's already set.
So then when you get to the draft, like it's tough to get your name in the draft. Like that's not just something that you can just say, oh, I'm going to throw my name in. Like it's a process. You have to get your name in the draft. And then once you get your name in the draft, if you're a D2, D3 player, we get a huge list of everybody who's in the draft. And you do your due diligence as a staff and you watching film, you make calls. Like we definitely, we have a war room the same way they do in the NBA draft, the same way they do in the NFL and stuff like that. And you're literally going down the list, calling college coaches, calling the player, calling their agents, trying to get a vibe for if you should draft them or not.
Right.
So obviously, unfortunately, it's like that. But the higher prestige of school you went to or level of basketball you played in, the easier it will be to have your name, let's say, a star put beside it on the list. If not, you're going to have to get drafted or make it to the G League training camp. And the odds of making a G League roster from training camp, if you wasn't drafted, extremely hard. It's happened. Jonathan Simmons, who played for the Spurs for 3 years and then got a huge contract with the Magic, he was a G League tryout player. So to say it's impossible would be a lie. But
you just got to be really good.
That happens every day, that would be a lie too.
So you just got to really stand out.
Got to. Have to. Obviously, if you got size, that's going to always help you because bigs just don't come around often.
That's true.
But if you're a guard or a wing, you have to figure out a way to stand out, and that doesn't always mean scoring. That does not always mean scoring. We had a player with the Suns G League team that was the last cut of our team. And I'll be honest with you, most of the coaching staff didn't want to cut him. We wanted to keep him. But just from a numbers perspective, we couldn't. He busted his tail. He outplayed a lot of the guys who got drafted or who was already signed on to the roster. But because of the numbers game, because we knew we were going to have two two-way players coming down from the main team, it was only but so many guys at his position we could keep. He deserved to be in the G League, but it was nothing we could do.
Business at the end of the day.
Yep.
And so let me get through my last fan question. So
Cool.
this is from a trainer. He trains youth basketball.
Okay.
He's asking what's your go-to basketball drill that incorporates both strength and conditioning?
Strength and conditioning. It's actually a warm-up. It's actually a warm-up that I actually learned while I was working in the Suns organization. It's something that a lot of the league has picked up, and they call it now basketball yoga. And it is the way that you basically get loose at the beginning of your workout or right before you go into practice. And it's all based off of core and explosiveness and keeping your balance as far as going into shots. So if I wish I was on a court, or I wish I had like some film of it that I could show you guys, but everything is balance based, which obviously is going to work on your core strength and work on your mobility of your hips and your ankles and things like that. And it really, once you get revved into it, like 5, 10, 12 minutes into your basketball yoga workout, you're in a full-on sweat.
Oh, wow. And this is just warm-up.
It's just a warm-up. You're in a full-on sweat. Every player, when they were coming into the gym for the G League team as well as the NBA team, had to start with basketball yoga. And then they would go into their regular stretching, and then we'd start practice.
Wow. Full-on sweat doing warm-up. You don't see that one very often either.
I wish I could show you guys. I wish I could, so I could really give you guys a better picture of what I'm saying, because it's a lot of movements, a lot of step backs, a lot of like side steps and staying on balance. It really does give you a full body workout within a matter of 10 to 12 minutes to get you fully ready to run up and down the floor in the practice.
Al, you got anything? We got about 5 minutes left. Any last?
I'm good. I'm good on my questions. Got answer.
I really, really appreciate you coming on. I have to say, how long ago was it? It was 3 years ago when I met you in Taiwan.
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Going on 4 now.
In a short span, I learned so much from you. You have no idea. Every time you said something, I was like, oh, I gotta listen. I gotta figure this out. I gotta.
Man, I'm telling you. Well, shoot, man. You know, I wasn't even there to play.
Yeah.
I actually had a potential last roster spot for an American. So you guys were over there, and I was told that y'all were gonna be in the Walian, and I was like, my general manager of the team was like, "Yo, you gotta go," and I'm like, I agree, because I need to see what they got.
Yeah.
And man, I was impressed with a couple guys. You were one of the guys I was impressed with. Your speed, your shot, your handle, and that's really what I wanted to do was basically just one. I needed one of you guys if you guys were gonna do like really show out. But at the same time, I knew you guys, a couple of you guys were at least starting your pro career, which I had finished mine and now was on the coaching side.
Right.
So anything that I could give you guys, I was down to give you, even if that meant I needed to give y'all some minutes.
Yeah.
And I definitely noticed it, man. I definitely noticed, like, especially being a point guard, which you were like me. Like anything, I was like, look, man, you might check this angle coming off of a screen, or look at this, or look at that.
Yeah, I learned so much.
I could definitely tell that you took it, and just from that alone, I'm like, all right, this not only is this a hooper, but it's somebody with a basketball IQ, and anybody who loved the game on that level, man, I always got respect for. Always got respect for.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks
a lot. No doubt, man.
Thanks a lot for giving your time.
Man, I appreciate you guys, man. I hope whenever this coronavirus mess gets done, man, I hope you guys in your next season. I saw the team that you're coaching. Hope y'all do well, man.
Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. Good luck to you.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Thank both of you guys. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Hopefully we can do it again.
For sure.
All
right.
Thank you.
Take care.